So, anyone here a fan of Saturday Night Live? Show Saturday Night Live. Oh, I've got a lot of folks in the audience. Until a few months ago, when I started this gig as a pastor, I spent most of my Saturday evenings. Until a few months ago, when I started as a pastor and started spending most of my Saturday evenings writing sermons that I tend to procrastinate on throughout the week, I definitely watch the show pretty frequently. It's a pretty funny show. I still occasionally get to see a few skits posted online, though. And there was one a couple of weeks ago that went pretty viral. It was really popular online on all the social medias. And you might have caught it. The skit was simply called Church. And it was a spoof commercial advertising how your annual trip to church on Christmas Eve to make your parents happy was going to be really different this year because the local church, a place called St. Joseph Church, was planning on going full throttle with their one-night-only Christmas Mass Spectacular. That's right, St. Joseph's Christmas Mass Spectacular. As the commercial begins to explain over the sound of some blaring, really rocking electric guitars, the main reason for Joseph's Christmas Mass Spectacular being so rocking this year is due to the presence of all your church favorites. All the folks who made Christmas Eve at St. Joseph's extra special. Now, most of the rest of the skit goes on to showcase all those church favorites, the epic cast of characters who make St. Joseph's an especially rocking place to be. There's Mr. Druggler, of course, who enthusiastically wants to shake your hand each and every day, each and every Sunday, despite having the sweatiest hands in the world. Then there's singing soloist Bethany Opsel, who's up in the choir loft, really singing it out for the Lord with soulful passion. She's singing something like, really getting on the beat, you know, she's going like, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path." Now, if that's not enough to get you excited, there's St. Joseph's pair of exhilarating liturgical readers. 12-year-old Ryan Welty, who stands up in the pulpit in a hot, itchy Christmas sweater his mom made him wear, and starts proclaiming the word despite clearly not wanting to do it at all. It sounds something like, "And lo, the angel Gabriel appeared unto Mary." But then, there's more. There's 44-year-old Colin Chapin, who in a bright red festive suit jacket with lots of extra Christmas flair, all those sort of pins and brassy angels and things that people wear at Christmas. They're great, by the way. I'm not If I didn't have to wear this, I'd probably wear a few myself. And she really, really, really wants to read on Christmas. She reads something like, "This is the reading from Paul to the Corinthians." And whoa, my sisters and brothers, I might be a bit partial, but if you really want to have your mind blown, there's good old Pastor Pat. Now, Pastor Pat might fall half asleep during worship. And you might chant really off-key and at constantly, confusingly changing speeds. You know, it's something like, "Oh, glory be to God the Father Almighty forever and ever." But he's always got at least one incredibly soft sermon joke to sleeve, which the congregation, of course, will politely respond with an incredibly soft chuckle. Thank you all. And finally, after being awed by St. Joseph's Christmas Mass Spectacular, if you really, really, really want to have your mind blown away, you might even have a chance on the way out to sneak a peek into Pastor Pat's house and see that he's even got a table in there, just like every other person has a table in their house. Whoa! Radical! Now, of course, this SNL skit was an absolutely hilarious exaggeration of what church on Christmas Eve looks like. But there are a couple important truths in there too. For the many folks who only make it out to worship on Christmas Eve, and it's awesome to have some of you here tonight with us, by the way, this SNL skit perhaps serves as a legitimate, at times, indictment of what many churches have become in recent decades. These sort of antiquated, backward-thinking communities where goofy people do goofy things each and every Sunday that maybe are hard to understand, and then maybe they don't do a good job of welcoming in folks that seem different to some. On Christmas Eve, it might feel nice to go to church, or at least it'll make Grandma happy. But otherwise, why would one ever want to wake up early on a Sunday morning or miss the big game for something like that? This, my sisters and brothers, is a legitimate point, and while I don't think it at all describes our congregation here at Messiah, it's a common concern that all faith communities in our day and age definitely need to consider. The even more important truth that the SNL skit perhaps inadvertently emphasizes is also one that is at the heart of St. Luke's message for us in this time, in this place, in this most holy of nights in 21st century Schenectady. Every year, in a bid to turn folks away from all the gift buying and overconsumption of the holiday season, you always hear folks exclaim something like, "Jesus is the reason for the season." Who here has heard that saying? Jesus is the reason for the season. Well, my sisters and brothers, I want to humbly submit to you this holy night that those folks, though certainly having the best of intentions, are completely wrong. Those folks are completely wrong. Jesus is certainly at the center of what Christmas is all about. Absolutely. But no, Jesus is not the reason for the season. The good news God proclaims to us tonight through St. Luke's words is that the reason for the season that celebrates Christ's continual birth into this world, and the reason for church, and the reason for hymns, and rituals, and prayers, and coffee hours, and potlucks, and confirmation classes, and service projects, the reason for all these things is people. The reason for the season is people, all people. The reason for the season, the reason for God's continual, constant breaking into this world 2,000 years ago and today is that guy with the really sweaty hands, and the kid with the itchy sweater, and the overly enthusiastic choir member, and even the pastor who isn't even that funny and always chants off key. The reason for the season, the reason for Christ's constant birth into this world is you. The reason for the season is you. Whether you're showing up here at Messiah every week for decades, or whether this is your first time and you're looking for a new faith community to call home, or whether you only show up once a year to make Grandma happy. The reason for the season is you. The reason for the season, the reason for Christ's constant birth into this world to be with us is you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. We all tend to talk about Mary and Joseph tonight, but let's focus elsewhere in the scope tonight. Just look at what the angels say to the shepherds. Do not be afraid for I'm reading the modern English version. The King James is great, but let's get it in contemporary English this time. Do not be afraid, for I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. And here's the best part. To you is born this day in the city of David, a Savior who is the Messiah, the Lord. The good news for all people, the angels going on about, is a much bigger deal than a Savior being born just to Joseph and Mary. It isn't that a Savior is born to the people of Israel. That's partially true, but there's more to it. It isn't even that a Savior has been born who is the Son of God. While all those things are indeed true, the good news for all the people, and the angel proclaims to the shepherds 2,000 years ago, and to us right now, is that, my sisters and brothers, is that a Savior is born unto you. A Savior is born unto you this holy night, and indeed every night. Whether you're celebrating with family after a phenomenal year or battling with anxiety and depression, a Savior is born unto you. Whether all this talk about birthing and babies that happens around this time of the year brings up maybe hard memories of struggling to conceive, or whether you're the proudest, happiest parent in the world, a Savior is born unto you. Whether you're missing a loved one this Christmas, or have been looking for love in all the wrong places, or are surrounded by family without a care in the world, a Savior is born unto you. Savior is born unto you and to me to save us, to free us, to bring new meaning into our lives. Indeed, you are the reason for this season. You are the reason God is breaking into our lives tonight, and indeed each and every night, in liberating love. You are the reason for this season. Merry Christmas. Amen.